Hey everybody, my name's Marc Gill and I'm here today in my own special way to share with you one of the coolest things that I've found in the last, I don't know how many years when it comes to cast iron, and one of the rare times that you can actually talk about a brand new innovation in cooking. And the reason that I'm here is because these are the groups where everybody gets together with a common interest, and that's cast iron cooking. So what better place to share something brand new with a lot of information, some cool recipes in really kind of a cool way, ask you to kind of feedback, share your recipes, any questions you might have. And listen, if you're the system administrator having a look at this, don't worry, there's no card up there. There's no links down there. Not here to sell you anything. We're here to do what these groups were designed to do, and that's talk about cool stuff in cast iron. And if you want to talk about cool stuff, have a look here. This is like a presentation from last January when we launched and introduced the world, right, to Kitchen HQ non-stick cast iron cookware. And you heard the word non-stick, right? Watch what happens here. Now listen, you got to understand, this is a TV network, lots of big budgets. We got lots of freedom when it comes to the kind of foods that we're going to use. So why in the world would I start this whole thing off with an 80-cent egg, right? Why not a T-bone? Why not a ribeye? Because it's that egg that really shows off the non-stick. And if you've ever put an egg, whether it's sunny side up, scrambled, anything, and tried to move it around, you know it's not happening, because neither one of those pans has butter or oil in it. And you know what? It's this texture of the steak. And I got to tell you something, you guys. When it comes to cast iron cooking, if you're a steak lover, a chop lover, a chicken lover, anything like that, where there's a protein with sugars and fats in there, that's where cast iron really shines, because nothing creates a crust like cast iron. That's because when it's made one at a time with a sand mold. They pour the cast iron in, they break the sand away, and then you're left with that pan. And the inside of the pan, right, is as individual as you are. There's no two alike. There can't be, right? And what's cool is if you look at this under a microscope, this pan, that pan, any of the pans, what's neat about these, all right, is that it's actually nothing but a giant surface of hills and valleys, dips and, you know, downs. And that's why there's a texture in cast iron cooking that you can't duplicate with any other cookware out there. But what we've done is we've taken everything that people hate about cast iron, strong word, don't like about cast iron, and that seasoning, reseasoning, having to use oils, butters, the fact that it rusts, the fact that they're hard to clean. We've taken everything that people love about their nonstick and put that into a cast iron pan, and not a cast iron pan with a coating, a real genuine cast iron pan. That same level that you look under the microscope where those hills and valleys are that create that crust, that's exactly where you're gonna find what we've done with the pan and actually fuse the nonstick particles with the cast iron. So 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, you know, like those cast iron pans that some of us have in our families, you know what I'm talking about. This is still going to be around to fight over. Because I'll tell you something, at the end of it all, nobody's fighting over your copper pans, I promise you. Okay, it's the cast iron that everybody wants. Because when you're cooking with it, again, it creates that crust, creates that texture. And if you're in this group and you already know that, then please share some of these recipes that you have in your cast iron pans. And remember, these are oven safe. It doesn't matter if you want to use these on the grill. There's no rules with this. 500, 550 degrees, you're fine. Listen, this is 3,000-year-old technology. This is already tried and true. We're not reinventing anything super new here other than the non-stick, guys. This is the same technology they used 3,000 years ago with cauldrons with the legs that either went over or beside a fire, that they either fried in or you know, cooked in or did soups. So what ended up happening is when we invented stoves, we took the legs off. Now we had a pot. When we invented the burners, we flattened them down, and now we have pans. But you can trace that all the way back 3, 4, 5, however long it goes, to cast iron, because that's always been what's worked best. When it comes to frying, these are so cool because cast iron distributes the heat perfectly. We all know that. And if you're in this group, because you're looky-loos, having a look around, check us out. I think it's Friday, all day over on the Home Shopping Network. We're going to be on there with our new size, 10-inch, all kinds of colors, and a trivet. This is really cool. So when you're doing some of these dishes that you're looking at here, instead of grabbing the hot pan and trying to figure out where to go with it or a towel underneath, this guy sits on the counter, right? It's wood, it's beautiful. All you do, touch the pan to it, off you go, trivet's built in. That's pretty cool. So let's get back to it here, you guys. Now, I got to tell you, working at HSN for a long time, you really grow to appreciate the people that are working in the background. So, I mean, while we're here and we're kind of doing this, I'll give you a little like insight, little backstage stuff. It's not me, I'm telling you, that does all this. I walk in and there's like a group of people that makes me look great doing this. I got to say, by the way, this steak, here's my little tips for the steak, okay? Always use some herbs and butter. Always use some garlic. And when you're done, if you can, if you got the time, take a second and, with a red wine or a balsamic, or if you've got a couple of ideas, throw them in the comments section here. But you can really make some cool sauces, all right, for your steaks, or even just kind of dips or dip for a steak, that's fine. But have a look. And the reason we do this one, and the reason we pour the wine in this cast iron pan, and if you're in this group and you're really familiar with it, you're looking at this going, oh no, I have to season this again, because the acids rip the seasoning right off. That's what happens. Acid pulls oil off. Remember those hills and valleys, the dips and noodles? That's why you season a pan, because you want the oil in there to burn on hard, to create that non-stick surface and fill those hills and valleys in a little bit. But you have to remember, with our pans, they're completely non-stick. I love that. That's why I'm here to share this with you, because nothing else that you've ever seen is going to do that. How cool is that? That is so neat. So when you're done with this, you can put it in the dishwasher, wipe it out of the sink, and that's it. No reseasoning. No reseasoning. That's so cool. There's no reseasoning. So yeah, as soon as you're all, and I think I do a little cleanup here, which is really, really cool. But like I was saying, all of this food that's out there, there's like a group of 3-4 people every single time we come out and do this, that do the shopping, get it ready, put everything in little bits out. Can you imagine what a mess this would make if I was out here trying to measure stuff? Awful. But now look at this, you guys. That's the kind of cleanup you're talking about. That's the kind of cleanup that you expect and love from non-stick pans, right? The ones that flooded the market in like the early 80s. It started with Teflon, right? And we've gone through whatever generation or iteration it's been. It's been it's been titanium, then it's been ceramic, and then it's been ceramic, titanium, and whatever it's been, right? A combination of 4 or 5 of them. At the bottom line is, it's all a coating. That's what it is. And it's like a piece of glass. So when you set your food down there, the natural sugars and the fats and the oils don't have anywhere to go but sit on that piece of glass. So when you turn it over, it's okay. It's nice, it's flat. But you lost a dimension in cooking when we all switched over. But I got to tell you something, and I've always said this is true. If you've got something in the kitchen, whether it's an appliance, a piece of cookware, a pan, a pot, if it's hard to clean, you will never use it again. It finds its way to the back, right? That's why people reach for the copper. That's why they reach for this, because they know that they can cook the egg, cook the steak, cook the shrimp, whatever it is, and at the end of it, whoop, done. You know what tastes better in cast iron. That's why you're part of this group, right? But nobody wants to clean up. I got to tell you something. Can you imagine the cast iron pans that you have in your house right now that cleaned and wiped away and hung up and were as worry-free as the copper and titanium and stainless steel you have beside it? That's why I'm so excited and have such a passion for these, because I get the difference that cast iron cooking makes, and I hate the fact that I have to care for it and season it. And if I forget about it and I come back and it's rusty, I have to take the finish off. I have to put the olive oil on. I got to put it in the oven. At the end of the day, depending on what you put in there, right? You put the wrong stuff in there, by the time you're done cooking your meal, now you got to cook your pan. And that's why nobody uses them as much as they should or used to, because like I said, guys, these have been around forever, right? Now, I will say, one of the big improvements, in my opinion, that we made over the pans that we launched with and ones now is the bottom of our pans when we first came over, all kind of the same colors. We made a point to want to make sure everybody had some beautiful colors to choose from. Well, look at this, all right? The ones on the bottom now, we made the same as the inside cooking surface. We didn't put the paint on the bottom. So these are going to stay looking uniform, beautiful, years and years and years and years and years. Now listen, nothing you can do to these things is ever going to affect the performance of them, all right? Obviously, cast iron doesn't come in purple. Obviously, it doesn't come in all of the colors that you're seeing up here. So we added that pop for you, all right? And that's why we put the limit of 500, 550 degrees in the oven or around the fire. So we want that keeping looking all nice. But that surface inside, that cast iron surface that you're cooking on, nope, never going anywhere. Oh, this is a fun story. So one of our food stylists, her husband, Keith, all right, we call him Keto Keith. He's lost like a whole small child. It's fantastic. And this is one of his recipes that we did every single time. It was super fun. You take Parmesan cheese, egg, you make a crust out of that, and then you use some mozzarella and some any kind of pepperoni or sausage that you want, and you bake it right in the oven. It's actually really, really, really good. I was surprised. And a lot of these dishes we bring out of the oven are great ideas to think about, especially with the holidays coming up. I think we're going to do a pot roast here soon. There's that finished pizza. These are terrific because of the way they hold the heat. Right? If you've got a lot of people that come over and you're doing some dishes like, some breads or bread puddings, or even some main dishes like pot roasts and things like that, when you do them in a regular, pan that we're all using today, like a stainless steel or something like that, nothing holds the heat. As soon as you take it out of there, you better serve that sucker. You know what I'm saying? What's beautiful about these pans, and if you're cast iron and you're in these groups and and you've been using it for a while, give me a heck yeah in the comment section. These hold the heat better than any pan that you're going to find. So between this and the trivet, some of these holiday dishes that we do and that you're going to do are really cool because you bring them to the table and you don't need like a special warmer or another chafing dish. This holds the heat a lot longer. Here's a very cool recipe. I want everybody to try this, especially with the cold weather coming up. And I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy Colin who shared this one with me because this is beautiful. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go out and you're going to get a few pieces of, or make them yourself, fried chicken. Maybe you made it earlier, right? And you're going to take the skin off and you're going to take the meat off and all that kind of stuff. And you're going to take some, your favorite cream of whatever in there, cream of mushroom, cream of onion. That's the soup base. And you're going to throw some frozen veggies in, peas, carrots. This is so simple. And then what I'm spooning in here right now, this is awesome. This is Bisquick, all right? Biscuits. And you're going to make 1 dollop for every guest that you have. These pans are big enough to serve a whole lot of people, all right? And now, the skin that you took off of the fried chicken, you ready for this? That's what I'm poking on top of all of the biscuits. Isn't that awesome? Now, this is one of those dishes that looks beautiful, it looks impressive, it looks like you've got some sort of culinary degree in the background working for you when this hits the table, you know what I'm saying? But what's cool about this is literally a few bucks, right? 15 minutes and about 5 minutes to let it cool down and everything to hang out. I mean, this is a 20-minute meal here, and look at it. It is absolutely gorgeous. You've never, if you've never made anything like this, you got to try it. We'll throw a recipe out there, and maybe we'll do it on our show. But what's cool about this now, you see, I had to serve that there on a plate right where it was and wander around because, yes, this is cast iron. Yes, it holds the heat. Yes, it distributes the heat. Yes, it does all that. But at the same time, that means that this gets pretty warm. So to do too much maneuvering with this back and forth, nobody wants to do that. So you know what? Whatever cloth you're going to use, and instead of having to spoon that out at the countertop, that's what's going to be cool this year. This is this trivet that pops on is really, really neat. I'm excited about that. So this is another cool one. And I stole this little demonstration here, borrowed it, from a cooking show that I saw at, one of these state fairs or something like that. And they made this caramel, all right? And it made sense because their pans were made of copper and it went in line with everything that they were talking about. But when I saw the finish and the type of metal we were working with and the cast iron, the way it performed, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this. Oh, by the way, just as a side note here, because I like to do a couple things at once. That salmon, skin up, skin down, no butter and no oil. I want you to think about your cast iron pan at home. I want you to put it on the stove as is. I want you to put it on medium, let it heat up for a while. Then I want you to take a piece of salmon, skin down, and pop it on and leave it there. We all know what's going to happen. That's one of those dishes that they use to sell the copper pans and things like that to show how non-stick it is and how beautiful it is. Well, imagine you can do it in there. So, up there I'm talking about a couple of other little things that we had going on that day. But that sugar that's in that pan is starting to melt and starting to caramelize like it does, right, in a big copper pan. You've seen them in the fudge shops, you've seen them maybe at a copper pan demonstration, but you've never seen anyone do that in cast iron. That's not something you ever want to do in cast iron, right? And of course, with the sugar that goes in there, we're going to add cream in a second. Cream's full of more sugars that likes to burn on. Oh, here we go, look at this. This is so crazy. I was so impressed the very first time that I did this one and saw the way it was performing, because I've made candy before, and you need that stainless steel or you need that copper. The last thing that you pull out is a big, seasoned, beautiful cast iron pan. So the fact that you can do it in this is great. And watch this. The cream hits it there. When this is done and all finished, and we use this, by the way, to make some caramel apples. I love it. When this is all done and finished, that pan can go in the dishwasher. Right? And that's why we're here. That's why we're sharing it in my special way here in these groups, because no one's ever been able to say before, you can take your cast iron pan and put it in the dishwasher. I don't care if you just baked something in it. I don't care if you just fried something in it. I don't care if you just sauteed something in it, braised something in it, slow cooked something in it, baked something in it. Doesn't matter to me at all. Put it right in the dishwasher, you guys. That's very cool. You know what? Soak it in the sink if you want. And when you're done, what you don't have to do is put all of that oil back on and bake it again. It's done, it's ready, no thought process, don't have to think about it. So look at this, you guys. Isn't that cool? Isn't that a fun thing to do at like a birthday party? That is really all you do. Some sugar and some cream, right? Get the ratio right. You can find all kinds of stuff online. And then you can make your own caramel apples. It's super fun. But look at this. It's just right off the bottom of the pan. Now, obviously at this point, it's getting hard as a rock, right? So that's going to happen. So yeah, just let it soak in the water. Everything kind of loosens up and away it goes. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, and by the way, I will take a second. The lady that I'm working with, her name's Tamara Hooks. They just had a baby. Super, super nice lady. And if she ever watches this, I got to share with her that I'll always remember meeting her on America's Store 10, 12 years ago, and I think I was selling Agostino's burgers, right? That's not it. And I remember it was 10, 11 minutes, it was the middle of the night, and I remember laughing with her live on air, and we both had grease running down our arm, and she told me, she was from LA, and she worked at a place where the big guy from the Green Mile, Michael Greenhall, I can't remember what his name is, big jovial fella, you've seen him in a bunch of movies, and she shared with me that I reminded her of him. And I thought that was just the coolest compliment ever. And that's always stayed with me. So Tamara, if you're watching that, you probably don't remember saying that to me. I'll never forget it. That was really cool. And you've always been fun to work with. And congrats on the new baby. So look at this, you guys. We've got the salmon in there. Now here's another, just a simple thing. And if you're in these groups and you really understand cast iron, or if you're in here to learn, here's a little thing that I really want you to know, okay? As soon as you put citrus in that hot pan, you have now put yourself in a situation where you've got to re-season it. And man, I'm telling you, you only have to do that a few times. And the pain in the tuchus of having to season and re-season these pans is really never going to overtake the ease and convenience of all of these beautiful PFOA and PTF-free pans that they've got now. Listen, I have them. I reach for them. I grab them every now and then, right? But when I know that this is going to give me the cast iron results with that kind of cleanup, that stays up there. Listen, this is fantastic for anything you're going to cook it in, whether you finish it in the oven, whether you're doing these burgers, it really doesn't matter. Oh, you know, one of the things that I love doing in this, and this is one of those ones where because of the way it's built, because it's nonstick, because it's dishwasher safe, because there's no seasoning, you're able to do some dishes in these that you would actually probably never even think to grab cast iron for. And one of the ones that I love to do in this is, and I don't do it on live TV. Look at the cleanup on that. I got to pause. That's so awesome. I love it. That's so cool. All right. One of the things that I love doing with these is scrambled eggs and omelets, but French style, more of a European style. And it's nothing really complicated. It just takes a lot of patience, all right? And eggs can stick and they can be hard to deal with on cast iron, but I'm telling you, if you try this in a cast iron pan and you mix the kind of the results of the way that egg is made, just the procedure you're using to make it, which I'll get here in a second. I fumbled over, and then the way that cast iron adds dimensions to cooking. So here's what you do. I'll stop yapping as we look at that beautiful pot roast. Searing is great in this. Listen, but before I talk about the scrambled eggs, just really quick, your oven is capable of living at around 180, 200 degrees. That means the oven is, of course, capable of being a slow cooker, just like the crock pot would be on your countertop. But the difference is, when you do something like this and you want to slow cook it throughout the day, like these nice big pot roasts, you get that sear that only cast iron can give you. Man, I love that. I don't even remember what we did here. Holy moly, that was great. It must be some sort of pie. All right, back to the scrambled eggs and the omelets. What you're going to do is you're going to take your cast iron pan and you're going to put it on the stove top. By the way, this is good for gas, glass, electric, or induction. Really doesn't matter. You're going to put it on there and you're going to set it to a couple of little ticks below medium, all right? And you're going to put a pat of butter right in the middle of the pan, and you're just going to keep an eye on it, all right? As soon as that pat of butter is melted and kind of distributed, now you're going to put in 3 or 4 eggs. Don't crowd the pan. And by the way, make sure those eggs are really whipped up good, all right? And as soon as it hits that pan, your goal is for the eggs to never stop moving. You're just gonna sit there and you're just gonna start doing this and you're not gonna stop, all right? And you're gonna get bored because this takes 10, 12 minutes and you're gonna look at the microwave sitting right there and think of all the ways you can cook eggs in the microwave. My hand's getting hard, and you're just gonna watch them. And they're gonna start to set at about the 7, 8, or 9-minute mark. And when that happens, that's when you really wanna keep, I can stop this now. That's when you really wanna keep an eye on them. And you do this a couple of times and you'll get a feel for it, about 30 seconds before you think they're gonna be done, take them off, right? Because they're gonna continue to cook in there, and let them sit for about 30 seconds. And because you've kept these eggs moving, you've incorporated all of this movement and air and everything into them, it's got to melt in your mouth, holy moly, that you've never even, I can't even deal with it. I'll throw the recipe up down there. All right, back to the show. The pot roast was fantastic. Oh, that was a berry compote. Holy moly, we eat so well during these shows. Like I said, it's not me that sets all this up. I just get to walk out and serve it and look great. So listen, these are great for desserts. They're great for baking. And one of the things that I do love about a live TV format like we do up there, it really does give us a chance to, emulate what we're hoping the experience is like when you get, pans and cookware and utensils and, tools like this at home, because it gives you a chance to really expand your repertoire, to really kind of get into it with, cookware that really history tells us we should be working with, but convenience has kind of put it away. But when you can clean a pan like that, and it doesn't know the difference between cast iron and ceramic when it comes to the cleanup and the care in between, why on earth would you ever wander away from anything but what gives you the best results? Man, I love it. Fajitas, I think we're doing here. Anything to do with like proteins. Let me tell you this again. Chickens, or chicken pieces, steaks, pork chops, anything like that. Anything that you want to get a crust on, anything that you want to get a caramelization on, anything that you want to get that color on, oh man, there isn't a restaurant in this country that advertises that they cook their steaks on copper. There just isn't. Like I said, I'm not dissing copper pans. I have them. I get why they're popular. I get why people love them. But cast iron just adds that dimension to cooking that we keep talking about. Now, this was one, I've kind of a little bit of a ramble until we got to this part, because I wanted to share with you. You know what we're making there? A crepe, all right? A crepe with no butter and no oil, just the cast iron surface. And people told me, don't do that. Don't do it. That's not going to look good on live TV. Something's going to go wrong. Something's going to happen. Oh, just a side note there. Always add lemons to a grill or a pan when you do fish, because there's nothing better than grilled lemons over fish. It's so good. So that crepe, all right, and this is what's cool with this, the no butter and the no oil, and you'll see this when we serve it, all right, and we do a really cool thing. We always have to jump back and forth in these because, you kind of go where the dishes are ready. So have a look here. I'm going to put some chocolate and some caramel right on that crepe. This is so cool, all right? I love it. Just like it was a complete non-stick surface. And look at that color, you guys. The brown's beautiful. It's so nice. All right, I'm like a weatherman here. I'm trying to I love it. But now, one of the cool things about this particular demonstration that we did wasn't the fact that we made a crepe, which is impressive, but watch this. All right, we keep talking about cleanup. Oh, we got to talk about whipped cream first. All right, I'll give it a second. All right, I can't believe I didn't do this with it. I don't think there's an airing out there where I didn't take a shot of the whipped cream when it was done. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that nice? Nice to do in the pan. So watch this. I'm going to clean a cast iron pan out with chocolate and caramel sauce. Could you imagine if you put that in a cast iron pan that came out of your cupboard right now that had that beautiful seasoning on it that you've worked so hard to build up over the years, and somebody came along and put a bunch of chocolate sauce and caramel in it? Look at this. It just absolutely wipes clean. Like I said, we made our pans non-stick at the molecular level, not something that's laid up over top that's going to scratch off, end up with little pepper flakes in your food, even though you never put pepper in there. It is PTFE free, PFOA free, all that fun stuff. You never have to worry about it. And it's all about creating these dishes and creating this food and creating these experiences with your family that are based around a cooking method that we've had for thousands of years. As long as we've had fire and as long as we've had the wheel, we've had cast iron, because that's the tried and true. That's the one that withstands the high temperatures. That's the one that withstands the beatings over time. We've got, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, we've got a cast iron pan that's been in our family for 200 years. That's, I think, the only heirloom that we've got. I didn't fight anybody for the copper pans. We wanted that cast iron one. And again, it's because this is going to last and last and last and last and last. And like I said, I'm not here to sell you these. There's no cart. There's no links to click. All I'm here to do is just share this kind of cool stuff with you. We are going to be on HSN all day Friday. If you want to check us out there, that's really cool. But I'm telling you, whether you're pulling stuff out of the oven or whether you're, I'm going to get out of the way there. Is this the cornbread there? Look, I love how even that cornbread is. It's beautiful. Frittatas. We got the giant, I think, pecan cookie beside us. Just really, really cool. And by the way, if you are going to join us, right, starting at midnight, the only thing I am going to say is colors go fast. So we did make a point to make sure that these weren't all black, right, because that gets kind of boring. We know everybody wants a little pop of color in their kitchen. Oh, I'm going to pause. Look at that. Oh man, did you see how even that color was? That's one of the other reasons that people love cast iron cooking. Cast iron loves medium heat. You want that on the stovetop, gas, glass, and induction or electric at about medium, and leave it there, right? You don't need to go high ever, and you know, low is, maybe if you want to simmer, that's fine. But 90% of what you're going to do is at medium. That's where it loves to live. And you can see that once you've got your pan at that temperature, the evenness of the cooking is unmatched. And that's one of the reasons, like I said, you're either in this group because you love cast iron, you know a lot about it, you want to share your recipes and your knowledge and some of your favorite products you find along the way. Some people do it with a post, some people do it with a little picture. This is, I think, the way that we decided to do it. Or like I said, you're looky-loos, trying to maybe get into that cooking style, get a few tips and tricks because you've heard about this stuff called seasoning, and you've heard about how long you have to season it, and do I have to keep cooking my pan after I cook my meal? It doesn't make any sense. By the way, the answer is yes to all of those. All right. But with ours, it is nonstick. We introduced this to the world last January. We had so much fun. And, oh man, this was funny. Okay. A little bit of insight here. There was a big like kunk at this part of the demonstration. I think the cameras were doing something, and somebody came in with like a pan and went boink. You wouldn't believe how much is happening on the other side of what you don't see during one of these presentations. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cameras. There's a jib up there. I got somebody talking in my ear. I've got my fantastic co-host or host of the show here talking with me, and then we've got people running in and out with food. Too fun. Oh, the fried chicken. This is really cool, guys. Some of the best fried chicken, some of the best fried dishes you're ever going to have is out of cast iron. All of those genuine, down-home Southern recipes all start with get a heavy pan. The best steak recipes start with get a heavy cast iron pan. The best pork chop recipes, get a heavy cast iron pan. You know what doesn't start with get a heavy cast iron pan? An egg. It just doesn't. Wine, it just doesn't. Citrus, it just doesn't. With this, you can. It's really, really cool. Really cool for doing paninis if you've got like a press, which is really nice because you can create those really nice crusts on the paninis with those. It really doesn't matter what the dish is. Cast iron just does it better. It just does. That's why this has lasted 3,000 years, and you know, other things will come and go. They always do. But the point that I'm trying to make, and the reason we showed up here today, the reason we wanted to talk to you all about this, is because we know you share a passion for cooking like we do. We know that you share a love for cast iron. That's why you're in this group. So what better place, really, to kind of hunker down and really share with you one of the only innovations I've ever seen in cast iron. You hear the word innovation, it never matches up with cast iron because cast iron never changes. You have to season cast iron, you have to baby cast iron, you have to care for cast iron, you have to make sure that you don't put the wrong things in cast iron. That's what you have to do. But with ours, it's non-stick, it's dishwasher safe, and you are never, ever, ever going to have to worry about seasoning it.